In this lesson, we're going to make windows for our car and create layers and then thicken the car so we can export it into 3ds Max. So we see here from the side view that the windows have already been created on the side of the car. And so what I can do here is go ahead and move the views here, and I'll take a look at it in a 3/4 isometric view. And essentially I'm going to work backwards, so to speak, here. I'm going to take the side of the car and I'm going to right click on it and select copy, and then I'll go ahead and paste it into the picture here. And ideally you put it in front or behind the car, that way from the side view it's not obstructed, but here I'll just put it here, and we're going to explode the object that we just copied. So I can either hit the icon on the right hand side or type in explode on the command line and then select the objects and press enter. And what that has done is remove the extrusion, the object, and taken it into little pieces. And I'm going to go ahead and then just delete the pieces I don't want, which are the windshield components. And I'm going to have to do another explosion here of the window frame and press enter. And if it's done correctly, you'll see that it is no longer a solid object. Now if you're having trouble seeing it, you might want to turn it into a black and white view, which can be done on the view styles. Might be easiest to get this view box out of my way. So there's the wireframe. And then move the box out of the way. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go from the bottom to the top, and I won't do everything, just half of the window frame, and then I'll press delete on my keyboard. And I'm not going to need the other side of the car. There's no sense doing this twice. So once I have it, I need to make it a solid object. And since I know that these pieces are already linked together, I'm going to go ahead and type in region, R-E-G-I-O-N, and then press enter. Now it's hard to see if anything's happened here in this view. So what I can do is change views. And the other thing I can do is drag the command line up just to see what just happened. And it says one region created. So that did work correctly. And now that it's a region, I want to extrude it so the glass has some depth to it. And I'll do it the same as the car, which is 1/4 inch or 0.25. And press enter. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in a view that shows some mass. And then let's go ahead and drag it just by simply clicking it and dragging it over to the car. Now this might be a good time to go ahead and create a layer. I've already made a couple layers in there, so if you don't see the layer, go ahead and right click in the dialog box and get your new layers. Create a new layer by clicking the icon, and this is a window, so I'll go ahead and, it's already activated, type in a window. Now ideally I can change the color here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For some reason it doesn't seem to be working here, but just to show you how you do it, typically you select it, and I would do a blue. There's many different ways to do this, so just press OK if it's not changing. We can do it by right clicking on the item and hitting the properties. Alright, make sure that you don't cancel it. I'll go ahead and select the object, make sure it's on the window layer, which it is, and then right click and hit properties, and let's make it a blue. Best blue to use is something like a cyan. Now when we take this into 3ds Max, we're going to have to start all over again if we choose to do that. And because it's on a separate layer, I should also do the front of that window. And if I had a rear window, I would do the same to that. But in this case, I'm just going to use the front and the sides. Now I'll go ahead and right-click it and copy and then paste it so I have the left and the right windshield. And I'll type in move. And let's go ahead and make sure that OSnap is on, which it is, so I can just go ahead and select the endpoint. Whatever is appropriate here. I'm going to do the outside, and then I'll, with my mouse, zoom in and out and find the corner and go ahead and click onto it. So we have now created the windshield. Now I could mirror this if I really wanted to, but let's go ahead and change the isometric view. And I can also do that by going onto the orbit, which is a very handy tool. Gives me a little bit more control. And I can zoom in and out with my mouse. And just go ahead and grab it and move it. And go ahead and type in move. And I know that the OSnap is already selected. Select the object and do the exact same procedure. And I have my windshields done. Now, one of the things when you take it into 3ds Max is if it hasn't been thickened or extruded, it is almost invisible in 3ds Max, and therefore if you try to render it, it will not work. Now, to overcome that, there's a tool function that is called Thicken, which does exactly what it sounds like. Now, the sides have been extruded, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and type in Thicken, Thicken, and then press enter, and I'll go from the bottom up into the center. Now I can go ahead and click it and press enter, which means everything in the center of the vehicle, which was lofted, will now go to a thickness of, and I'll go ahead and type in 0.25, a quarter of an inch. Now this may look a little odd in AutoCAD just because it's not going to redraw as smoothly as it was before. But it has thickness to it, which is very important when we start rendering this. Now if you were going to add subtleties to your car, you might want to have it a little thicker, that way you could subtract pieces out of it. But for what we're doing now, this is going to be fine. And so we have completed the lesson.